Hey all, welcome back to Amped 2. I'm Insetic, with me again is Turo.
Hello.
And in this video we're headed to the second level, Breckenridge. Now I just want you to look at not only just the loading, but how the whole presentation is, where like the audio stays, the music track stays even as it's loading. And again, the really rapid times, which are not just on emulation, there was that on console as well. And how much that contributes to just like the feel of the game, jumping from mountain to mountain. Maybe you want to take on a challenge here, maybe you want to jump over and do something in a later level, maybe you want to do that. Wow, but just extending, your play session and making it feel really so fluid. And I think that's an also kind of unlisted thing about why this game is as great as it is.
I have not thought about the loading times in this game once.
I
Think
mean,
of that
just
what you
like,
will.
I've
never had to think about them.
Yeah, especially when you may need to be restarting a challenge later on, and it's. I know that, again, the frustration of having to try something over and over is going to be at the forefront of your mind. But think about like how little time it spends to get back to where you were.
Yeah. Like
it'll.
Go ahead.
Alright, so there's a few other systems, like, for example, this game introduces a combo system, where basically every trick you do adds an extra 0.5 to your multiplier, unless you, only do a spin, in which case it'll add 0.1. I guess to try to prevent, cheesy little mini spins, but then it also introduces butters, which are basically the snowboard version of manuals. Now, butters are not really intended to get you from big jump to big jump. And here in, Breckenridge and Millicent, I mean, there's a reason that the tutorial of the game, the butters thing, puts you on Mount Hood, where there's a lot of stuff on the ground for you to kind of quickly butter in between. Here, it's worth, checking those out, but, again, yeah, the first few levels, I'd say, are not the most conducive for you to be like, oh, I should really check these butters out and do them as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly never really relied on butters much at all. Outside of the very last event of the game, I sort of had struggle with reaching the highest score in that challenge, and pretty much that challenge alone, without doing butters.
Right. So a thing you're going to see me do throughout this series is, it gives you 3 skill points across the 3 high score things, and you could distribute them evenly across multiple stats, but I am always going to put all 3 gained skill points, or all gained skill points, into one stat at once. Which I think is just the better way to do it. In my original Let's Play, I definitely made myself jack of all trades, and again, that kind of led to me being understated at certain points in the game. Because, we can sort of talk about the stats here. Well, real quick, what I'm showing off is that sometimes, doing any of the high score immediate challenges will unlock a higher drop point. So here at Breckenridge, you started with only 4 o'clock or Dukes, but beating any of the high scores unlocks this Vista House even further up the mountain. And this is the only time we're going to Breckenridge, so Vista House is basically the full mountain there. So looking at the stat points, as you saw, or looking at the stats, there was spin flip, big air, ollie, balance, and switch. And I'd say probably the most important of those are big air and balance. Spin flip is also fairly important, but, this game is mostly skill checks because it's an extreme sports game. There needs to be a lot of things about how good at it are you. But there are a few challenges in the game that are legit stat checks, where big air will get you the air needed to actually be able to do a photo shoot line, or do a challenge like that. And in fact, the first one is really kind of coming up in Breckenridge, photo shoot 3 of that. Now, I'd say then balance is also important because, hey, who likes crashing? At the very start, your balance is not that great, and staying on rails, or again, buttering where necessary, is really important and really fun. So I'd say that balance and big air are those to focus on. Now, ollie is kind of, I don't want to call it a dump stat, but I legit don't really know how much it contributes. I have beaten the game without adding anything to the ollie stat.
Yeah, you showed me that, and it's interesting.
I don't want to say that you should do that. Now, spin and flip as well, based on how style works, it's always better to do one slow spin or flip than a double spin, or double flip off of the same kind of jump, if you're really looking to maximize points or so. And then switch, well...
Switch is switch. That is the dump stat.
When you're riding in switch, your other stats are heavily gimped. Like, you spin flip much slower and you get less air. Basically, if you haven't put anything in spin into switch, it's like your other stats are back at like zeros or threes when you're in switch. Which means, yes, you could put points into switch to be better when in switch, but how often do you need to be in switch? The game never forces you to do that. And honestly, with, again, like corkscrews, rodeos being basically 360s, I find it's easy enough to stay in regular stance. And also, the benefits of being in switch are not enough to offset, again, the big stat reductions that you get to just not even put points into switch. To really make sure that you have enough points for your main stats, which are, again, spin, flip, big air, and balance.
I think, it has a very clear purpose and function, and you can notice it getting better. But I think it's just compared to those other two stats, it's just too important to focus on switch. Like, it's a dumb stat almost in the literal sense of this is where you put your leftover points.
Yes, you will have more fun in the game and be able to do certain challenges sooner if you prioritize, again, like balance, big air, and put some into, spin and flip. I don't want to, even though I'm trying to be kind of like a teacher or try to help you avoid pitfalls, I don't want to say this is how you have to do it. But, that's what I strongly recommend. And if you watch other series like John Bastavros' series or K2's original, 100% segmented speedrun, you'll see the same thing, where, again, the same sort of stats are prioritized, and again, just treat your gained stats as like, you get one stat block, and just put it into one skill at a time.
And again, that's not really mandatory. He's beaten the game several times without doing that. I've beaten the game at least twice without doing that. It's just, best practice even sounds like too strong of a term for it. It's just, you'll just experience more noticeable changes if you do that.
Right.
Man, this game's soundtrack is so good.
Yeah. Do you like me? I love jumping through the fence there at the end.
Yeah. Just clipping right through it.
Oh, we got 20 CDs and tickets to a punk show. It's not really important, the things you gain for, these sponsor challenges, but it is kind of funny, seeing what you get as you go through the game and become a more and more, noticeable rider or notary rider. We were gaining pizza slices in the first level and, tickets to punk shows.
And I always forget that in the first game, I've never played the first game. My only point of contact with that is your LP. And I always forget in the first game that you actually get things from the sponsor challenges. You get, new clothes that you can actually wear and, new board. Don't you get new boards from sponsor challenges? Or
I think you get board tiers from pro challenges. Or, no, it was, unlocking the pro challenges by, doing the specific kind of levels for them.
When you did the rank up with the mini levels.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing. All the cosmetic options in this game are available from the start, which means you can make your guy or girl look however you want to at any point.
Yeah, that was a bit disappointing for me. I was looking forward. I remember first time playing through the game, I was looking forward to unlocking more clothes. But it's a pretty expansive selection, anyways.
Yeah. One thing I'm showing here is that, though, it might be obvious to anyone who's gone through the game before, but, a spin or a flip, if the sponsor's asking for that, doesn't need to be literally just a spin. or literally just a flip. You can do that and throw in a grab and gain even more points. And I mean, think of it, behind the hood, behind the scenes, they're looking for the actual points of a trick to determine if if the sponsor likes it or not. Or you could do a corkscrew rodeo, which is a spin plus a flip. So a corkscrew rodeo counts for either of those, So I don't want to say think outside the box, but just, again, remember what you have in your bag for, handling these.
And also I think I should know, considering the last time I beat this game was like a month ago. But the game is really, it's checking a certain subcategory of tricks, and if you do a trick that's not in that subcategory, it like diminishes how many points you get by like orders of magnitude. Like it cuts it by like 1%. But what it doesn't do is remove it from your combo. So if you do a flip that's worth the full points and land in a grind, you'll get like 2 points for that grind, but it'll also be a new trick in the combo. Just saying.
You're talking about during sponsor challenges?
Yeah, during sponsor challenges.
Yeah, and so that way you can gain more points. All right, so coming up is the first sort of roadblock challenge, Photo Shoot 3, where this is why I put points into Big Air, because at your default Big Air, 3 points, this first jump is damn near impossible. Now, it is not impossible, so if you're a fool and didn't put points in and you get here because this is still very early in the game, you might beat your head against the wall trying to get it like once or so, but as you see, even with 6 in Big Air, that is a very tough jump. But this is where, I'd say, again, this is why I'm saying certain challenges in the game are literal stat checks, because they will ask you to do a jump that you will need a specific, threshold of Big Air for, and if you don't have that, then you're making life a lot harder for yourself. Now, again, you don't need to do every challenge on a mountain the first time you get there. I'm just doing that for efficiency.
Say, yeah, so it's not like, do not worry about soft locking yourself, especially. Like, if you go back to the beginning of this video, you'll see that he had already unlocked the next level before he even entered this one, just by doing all the challenges in the previous level. You unlock levels in this game pretty quickly. Like, in the early
especially
parts of the
at
game,
the beginning, where then you can do high score and get more stat points and come back with more stat points. Again, you really do not need to do everything at once. I'm just doing that for video efficiency.
Yeah, and first of all, that's the Photo Shoot 3. You don't have, that's the hardest challenge in the level, pretty much. And so, you can go to the next level, which is an event level. We'll talk more about that then, but you get a different kind of stat point when you complete those. But if you messed up, then you can just put those stat points into your Big Air and then come back. Or just come back later, because when you beat this event, you unlock the next level. So
right, and the loading times are so fast, and you could jump from mountain to mountain, and the music stays, and you're chilling out to whatever's playing. Maybe some Yellow Card is playing, maybe some My G is playing. Again, it's really worth checking out the soundtrack to this game. So the next level is an event level, and as you saw, the levels after that will require you to have beaten this event to even unlock. So, we'll see what that is and what that unlocks and opens up next time on Amped 2.